Thank you very much for joining us. So, I mean, it's a very special occasion for you, of course, because it's the launch of your initiative that you're starting. And I really want to talk about that. But I think before we get into that initiative, I want to talk about some parts of your career and sort of how you reached this point, essentially, where you have a very successful career in music and are also now able to do things like these initiatives that you just started. So yeah, we'll get into that, of course, in the due course. But I want to start with a question sort of from the beginning. You grew up in Ladbroke Grove, which is the same place where the Grenfell incident happened, but it's also the same place where the rich of Notting Hill live. Was the disparity something that you noticed growing up? Did it bother you? Or perhaps was it something that inspired you growing up?
Yeah, I feel like for some people, it's something that they look at and it disheartens them. They feel like, why do these people that live so close to me, why are they able to live such a lavish lifestyle while some of us can't pay for electricity, etc., etc. And for other people, it really inspires them. It puts a bolt of zeal up them and tells them like, look, I can go and be whatever it is that these people are achieving. It just makes some people work harder and it makes some people give up, unfortunately. And it's a very interesting place to grow up in because, if anyone's walked around Ladbroke Grove before, you can see multi-million-pound white houses next to, council estates that sometimes the lights don't work and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's how it is.
No, that's a very good point. Earlier today, someone just randomly mentioned, they were like, oh, they also live in Ladbroke Grove. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, wow. They were like Notting Hill, but that's Ladbroke Grove.
No, Notting Hill, yeah. When I was younger, if a girl asked me where I'm from, I say Notting Hill. It sounds a little safer, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But one of the most interesting things was when I was reading about you, I was doing my studying research for this, but I read that you were studying for criminology before getting into the music career, which is very interesting. It's quite a transition from a course in criminology into sort of music. Was it more like a sort of societal family sort of pressure to go to university and study criminology, or was it something you were passionate about?
Nah, there was no pressure. I mean, for me, my mum was happy supporting me whatever I chose to do. As someone who grew up in a single parent household, there was definitely a pressure for myself, an internal pressure for me to, try and provide. I have a younger brother and my dad wasn't around, so that means that, money was short. And my mum obviously done the best she can, but sometimes there's room for improvement and things that we need. And me being the oldest of the two siblings means I need to bring some money in at some point. So for me, going to university was I just wanted to make sure that my mum had something to be proud of, you know what I'm saying? She could brag about me to her friends and be happy that her son's doing something with life. But whilst I was in university, it just felt like university is not for everyone, that's the truth. Some people are really eager to get a degree just because of the pressures from their family. And some people want to do it for themselves. And it doesn't really matter what your reason is. It's always great to, enter higher education and get something done. But for me personally, it didn't really fit, you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
no, absolutely. I think it provides a certain level of security. You feel that, sure. If you go to university, you'll have a more secured financial future. But I think it takes quite a lot to sort of take that risk, leave university and just sort of get into sort of music full time.
Yeah. So it's definitely a big risk, for sure.
So what did you think in that moment? When you have this financial burden, let's say, of your family being in this financial situation, did you not, wasn't this too big of a risk to take at that moment?
Not particularly, man. I feel like life is about risks. You have to take risks in life. And it's not a life worth living if you're not taking risks. That's the truth of it. If I didn't take the risk of trying to be a musician, then I might be sitting in whichever job I have, alternatively thinking what would have happened if I did try. And evidently, choosing music was the correct decision because here we are. But it is a big risk and it's not something that I would just willy-nilly advise to people. I wouldn't sit here and tell someone to take a risk unless they truly are ready for the consequences of what happens if you fail. That's something that I internalize, but also, like I say to you, my mum said to me, I'm going to give you a year and if it doesn't work out in a year, then, either get a job or go back to uni and crack on with what you're doing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now you mentioned your mum a few times. She's also joined us here today. So we're very grateful to have your mum join us tonight as well. But your mum, I heard, was also a sort of a DJ, and your family in general was quite musical, it seems. Your dad was also, I believe, a rapper. How was that, as like growing up in that? Is that like, would you say that was something that really got you into music from an early age?
Yeah. Definitely it inspired me, because at home we had the DJ decks, the turntables. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, I'm from Labrador, so Carnival every year. I'm from Trinidad, so everything about that is very vibrant, very musical. My younger brother produces music. My mum was a DJ. My dad's a rapper, so it was inevitable that I was going to do something to do with music. But I think music's just it's something that brings people together, much like football. You know what I'm saying? Everyone can relate on some level to someone else through music. You might not like the same genre of music, but you all like music, which is something that can connect all of us. Yeah.
So what was your journey like? It's quite interesting. I mean, you've taken a lot of risks from a very early life, and it shows a lot of strength of character. What was sort of like so you had your first breakthrough of a big song, a big song that came out, and that's when you knew, like, you know, okay, I've made it to sort of big leagues now. Sort of how did you transition, like go from sort of like amateur level sort of music to get to that point?
I started off on radio. I was on pirate radio a lot, and I gained up like a cult following, people listening to me on pirate radio, and then I started actually recording music in the studio, but the studio at the time was actually my friend's bedroom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just had a little Dulux tin, like an empty tin with a mic on it, and then that's it. We recorded in there, me and my brethren, and then I decided to put them on SoundCloud. And SoundCloud, not nowadays, obviously SoundCloud's not what it used to be, but back in the day, SoundCloud was lit. Like if you use lit on SoundCloud, you can make a career of that, you know what I'm saying? So I got my tunes up on SoundCloud, and the first one that I put on there is called Swerve and Skid. I told the man, I was like, yo, if this gets 100K streams, then we're lit, everyone's lit, you know what I'm saying? But it got 1 million, imagine that.
1 million?
Yeah, it done 1 million.
Wow.
So when it done 1 million, I just went online. And the thing is as well, with music, it's like, you can be as talented as you want, but if you don't have the formula behind it, if you've not got a business plan, and if you're not like business minded, then it's not really gonna work. So for me, I sat down and I was like, cool, I got 1 million views on this song, but how do I get this onto like national radio? So I went on Twitter, I went on, Instagram, whatnot, and I started looking up people who work for Radio 1, Capital Extra, etc., Kiss. I took down all their emails. I started emailing them hounding them down every week, like play this. And luckily for me, a DJ called Cyan Anderson, she's really big. She decided to start her show with my song, and then after that, I didn't have a Twitter or anything like that. So I'm like, let me make a Twitter, so if people were like trying to at me or whatever, I can see the feedback. Started seeing the feedback, and people were like, oh, who is this guy? Like, who is that? Da-da-da. That's it, started going from there.
Yeah, so when was this exactly?
This was ages ago, man. This was like, let's see, I'm 28 now, so that's when I was 21. That's like 7 years ago. And also off that as well, like I think the big moment that said to me that I can be a musician was when I kind of decided to stop going to uni. It's like near the end of my first year. I basically, started putting my music out and stuff. But I got a booking for like £1,000. And £1,000, bro, like that's a lot of money, bro. That's a lot of money. That's a month's wages, you know what I'm saying? So when I got a month's wages for doing something that I love doing, it didn't seem like a job to me. That's just like, it's like a dream, you know what I'm saying? So when I did that, I showed my grandma, and she was like, why is anyone gonna pay £1,000 to watch you? You know what I'm saying? But after that, that's the moment where I was like, okay, I can definitely do this. If I'm gonna get paid £1,000 a pop, then I'm giving this my all, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, that sounds incredible. And do you know, like, when you make albums / like sort of a certain song you're releasing, do you know whether it's going to be really big or?
You can never know for sure, because it's not really up to me. It's like, it's up to people who listen to me, you know what I'm saying? I can make a song and in my room I'm like, this is the hardest song ever, but if these people listening to it don't think it's hard, then it's not going to do anything. It's actually up to the people. You can't make a hit like the public make a hit. Does that make sense? So a lot of hits are made by accident. You don't go in the studio and say, yeah, I'm going to make a banger today, I'm going to make a hit. Like, you can make a good piece of music, but you can't make a hit. When you release it to the public, you just have to sit there with your fingers crossed and hope that they respond to the music how you like it, you know what I'm saying?
Do you have a particularly, like, a favorite song of like the ones you made? I know there is Ladbroke Grove, which is like really
that's not my favorite, man.
Everyone loves it, and I know I've heard you said that you're tired of like.
Do you know what it is? I love the song and I love what it stands for. I named it after my area, and it's triple platinum, and I don't have a record label, so for me that's a massive achievement. But also, it's not my favorite song. It's a song that I made with a purpose. I made that song because I understood that this is going to resonate. If you play it to your nan, she's going to understand it and be able to move to it. If you play it to your toddler, Like if you play it in a car, if you play it at a show, like it's gonna resonate everywhere. That's why I made that song, and it did what I needed it to do. But it's not my favorite. My favorite song is Little More Love, and the reason why is because it has a strong message behind it. One of my favorite producers produced it, and it's an overall positive song, and it's still done like I think it's on like 60 million streams right now. So
yeah. Do you have a favorite? Sorry, I'm just going into quite into depth of like sort of your music. But do you have a favorite lyric of like yourself or one of your songs, or of any of the other artists that really resonates with you? That sort of like.
Not particularly, man. For me, when I listen to music, like, I'm not only listening to the lyrics. For me, I'm listening to like the whole package, if that makes sense. So obviously, I love lyricism. Whenever I listen to someone like Dave or Wretch 32, you know, Avelino, these kind of people, I'm taking in what they're saying. But for some other artists, you just take it as it is. So some rappers aren't rapping to give you the craziest lyrical breakdown ever. They're just trying to give you a feeling. And at the end of the day, the feeling is what you take away from it. So, you know what I'm saying?
I guess you look at it from a more sort of nuanced perspective than like...
Yeah, for sure. It's down to sonics. I'm just here to observe the sonic, and if someone can, you know, draw emotion out of me in a certain way, that can be, you know, some of us listen to sad music.
Yeah.
Sometimes my missus listens to emotional music, and I'm like, why are you listening to this? Like, this is weird. Like, but I get it though, because, you know, sometimes you want to feel emotional, and that makes sense to me. Like me, I like listening to hype music that gasses me up. Yeah. If you're going to the gym, you want to listen to gas music. It just depends on my mood, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, that sounds fantastic. Just to sort of now that we're talking about the lyrics and sort of the music itself, getting sort of deeper into that and sort of more political aspect of music and like the art of this art of music industry in general. Do you think it's important for musicians or people with platforms to sort of like take a stance on political issues? Or sort of like, you know, to speak out about things that are happening?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think my answer is probably a little bit controversial. I think if you built your own platform, it's solely up to you what you do with it. Like, that can be positive or negative, or it can be nothing. That's up to you because you built the platform. At the end of the day, it's your achievement and you've put yourself in that position, and it's for you to do what you want with it. Now, that's my straightforward answer, but, you know, we're talking about morality. Then as someone of colour, I should definitely be trying to, you know, champion my own people and help out where I can. But the thing is also, I do also feel that if there's certain things that I'm not doing, no one can look at me and be like, why aren't you doing that? Because also, like, why aren't you doing that? You know what I'm saying? Why aren't you putting yourself in a position to do that?
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that is, I wouldn't say that's too controversial anyways.
You don't think so, but trust me, there's a lot of people who think that's controversial.
But I think like one thing that is with the sort of musicians speaking out, because you have a lot of followers, there are a lot of people that listen to you, and especially these lyrics, they resonate with people. Mm-hmm. Do you think that a lot of the times you can convey your message, the things that you want to sort of like talk about in your lyrics, or do you have to take like a more sort of stance, like an active stance outside of like your music on certain issues?
I think both, to be honest. Okay. I think you can convey messages through the music, but also sometimes for people, look, when you listen to music, at the end of the day, it's a form of entertainment, you know what I'm saying? So you can't take everything you hear in music like at face value, you know what I'm saying? Some rappers, you'll hear what they're saying, and the life that it sounds like they're living is a fantasy world, bro. That's not real life, you know what I'm saying? That's just how it is. But also, you have to acknowledge that sometimes when you listen to music and you understand that not everything they're saying is a fact, then they need to hear you in a setting outside of music to take in what you're saying as you being serious. So, you know, sometimes I'll come to an establishment like this, some people might think that I'm going to wear my Nike Tech, but I'm not. I'm going to wear a suit, so you can understand that I've come here for business, you know what I'm saying? It's a serious event. But in general, I think, sometimes you can convey the message through music, but if you want to really hammer it home, for me personally, you got to take a step out of the music and show people that what you're saying is a serious message and you want people to listen. Yeah,
no, absolutely. And since you already mentioned that you're here for business, I think the most interesting thing, I mean, the biggest news recently is that you've started the AJ Tracey Fund at St. Peter's College here in Oxford. Which will aim at helping underrepresented kids, kids from underrepresented backgrounds. And Stormzy did a similar thing in Cambridge, and now you're doing something similar in Oxford here. Could you tell us more about the program itself, like sort of the details of it? And,
yeah. So basically, I just thought it would be nice for me to, like, this is an establishment that, you know, it's a privilege that you lot are here, you know what I'm saying? This is an amazing place to be, and it's somewhere that I would have loved to come and be educated at. And I think for me, if I can make, you know, underrepresented students have an easier time here, if I can just make their day a little bit easier, then that is an achievement itself. Like all the things that I'm so blessed to have, it's nice that I'm able to, you know, look at who's coming up and look at the future of our next generation and try and help them have an easier time at uni, because it's a blessing that they even made it in here. Because someone like my grandma, when she came to England from Trinidad, she would have looked at the country and it would have been in a very different state to where it is today. So some people from, you know, certain ethnic backgrounds who are able to be educated in such a, you know, wonderful establishment, if I can have a hand in making that easier, then that's what we're here to do. So the fund is just from everything from, you know, a student's laptop might break and we replace it, from something as small as that to, you know, sorting out travel, maybe helping them, you know, eat a proper diet if they don't have a good diet, you know, maybe signing people up to whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, as long as it's making a difference, then that's what we're here to do.
Yeah, no, that sounds fantastic. I think one of the things was, because I mentioned Stormzy as well, when he was doing his scholarship in Cambridge, I think he had issues doing the same thing in Oxford.
Yeah.
And it was mostly because I think it was particularly either race specific or sort of had that sort of objections from Oxford. And I think, yeah, I was just wondering whether you had similar sort of impediments.
No, I didn't have any difficulty starting this up at all.
Okay.
I think someone asked me about this question earlier.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, what I think is it's better not to dwell on things that have been denied,
Yeah.
but the fact that we're doing it now is all that matters. It's better late than never, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. One thing, I mean, this leads to like sort of an important discussion in general as well. This the topic of, well, when Stormzy was doing this and it didn't work out, etc. But in general as well, there is like a certain level of, you could say, well, institutional racism and biases, which are mostly very subtle, have always put people from underrepresented backgrounds at a disadvantage. How much did you feel the impact of that, like when you were growing up, and sort of in your career in general, I think?
Yeah, every step of the way, man. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For me, growing up, I didn't experience the amount of racism that I might have done if I didn't live in Ladbroke Grove, because it's a very ethnically diverse place. So I was fortunate enough to be in an area that everyone's from everywhere. So it's not too much of an issue. But obviously, you know, going to school, teachers making certain remarks. Like my Spanish teacher told me, she made me and my friends stand at the front of the class and say, oh, what's the difference between these two and you lot? And then we was like, what? She's like, oh, these two are more likely to fail than you lot because they're black. So like those kind of comments, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. It's not very encouraging. Like if I did want to, which I don't, but if I wanted to be like a Spanish teacher or something, then, or like a translator, I don't know, then that might have, you know, hindered my progress, these little comments. And I just think, you know, from going to the shop and people following me around, I'm sure loads of you had that before, you know what I'm saying? Trying to go to a nice store and they're looking at you like, why are you here? You're not meant to be here. I don't know, all of that stuff.
No, I guess it, you said in Ladbroke Grove that
Yeah.
there was a lot of diversity, so it was like a lot easier there.
Yeah.
But I guess
It's-
when you leave outside and like get into sort of
more
music
when,
industry.
Exactly, it's more when you go into a place of work, or if you're trying to get a job, or, you know, if you even come to certain establishments and they look at you funny, or, you know, they have preconceptions of you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think like we've talked about just generally the disparity, not just in sort of like in certain parts of the UK, but also in universities, which is one of the reasons that you've started this initiative. To sort of like help with any sort of disparity that might exist for disadvantaged students. What do you think, do you have any sort of things that you think Oxford could be doing as a university itself to sort of like get rid of this disparity? And also, how do you feel about sort of encouraging other artists as well, your friends?
Yeah.
I heard you were good friends with Stormzy and Dave, etc.
I think one of the main things we can do to just improve, you know, the ethnic minorities coming to places like Oxford is outreach work. So going into areas that, you know, we're from and encouraging the bright sparks to say, hey, like, come and apply for Oxford, because a lot of us in the hood don't feel like we can apply, like we're not allowed or not worthy enough to apply. So I think that's definitely a key issue. I'm going to be trying to tackle that myself. You know, just small things, man. Small things like, for example, you know, when you lot go eat in the lunch halls and that, having some like diverse meals. I don't want to say it, you know what I'm saying? But having some other types of menus, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like that, these small things make people feel at home, you know what I'm saying? It's about making people feel included. So yeah, we're gonna just like make a list. We're gonna tackle them step by step. I'm gonna come here a lot more often. I'm gonna be in and around trying to like help people with stuff. And in general, I just think like it's a lot of small steps that make big progress. You know what I'm saying? So that's
No,
what we're doing.
it sounds fantastic. Honestly, this is very inspiring to see a lot of, especially today, like in the modern world, a lot more artists are now stepping up to actually make a change. Like things that they've been through, they're not turning their back on what happened in the past, but sort of like addressing it now for sort of the future to be safer. But yeah, I think it's an incredible project. Is there anything that you would like to add about the project that we may have missed out? Or
Not particularly, but as many of you could have guessed, when I announced it, like there was a lot of quote unquote backlash from people who think it's unfair that white students aren't also getting the same funding. But for me, I'm sure a lot of people in here, because you lot are highly intelligent, understand. But for me, it's a case of, if the whole system is catered towards white people already, it's only for me to try and level the playing field, if this makes sense. I'm just trying to give people, put them on an equal playing field. So when I see these kind of comments, it's not, you know, disheartening or discouraging to me, because I'm going to do it regardless. But it just makes me know that there's more education that we need to give out and, you know, make people aware of white privilege, for example, which I'm sure loads of people know about anyway, but like it's definitely something we still need to teach more people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's definitely one of the things that that came up with the scholarships that came before. That was also were also quite specific, and it's still it's still the case, and it's quite disappointing to see that this is. But just sort of moving on from this is going to be something people are going to be looking forward to, like how it's implemented, your initiative. But just sort of like moving to your sort of career in general, you went from sort of like an underground bedroom star to sort of like a platinum selling sort of a star. What has been like an unexpected consequence of like this fame and just sort of like being this popular now?
It's interesting because you know, I'll go into certain establishments and certain places. I'm not going to single anywhere out, but sometimes the treatment that I receive is very friendly and very fair, but only because I'm AJ Tracey. And I had an incident recently where I went to a fashion brand store. I'm not going to say where, but I went to buy a coat, and the guy at the door was like, "Yeah, we're closed," but it wasn't closed. And I'm like, "Bro, I just want to come buy a jacket and leave. Like, there's like half an hour till you close." And he was like, "No, like, get away from the door." So I'm like, I was thinking like, why are you being so hostile to me? It could be because I'm in a tracksuit, it could be because I'm black, who knows what it is.
Yeah.
But long story short, the brand, I actually work with a brand and model for the brand. So when I sent an email to the brand, it wasn't great. I got the jacket for free, by the way. But like things like that, you know, things like that. It's like, if I wasn't AJ Tracey, if you don't know who I am at the door, then you're going to treat me a certain way. But as soon as, you know, they were made aware of who I am, then all of a sudden you want to treat me fairly, which it sucks, innit? It sucks.
No, exactly. I think that sort of brings me to sort of the last question for tonight, and I think it's a very important question. Is what does it mean for you to be a black artist in modern Britain? What does it mean? What does it entail? I think you were talking about this responsibility. Does it come as part of this responsibility? This responsibility is part of that, or?
Yeah, of course. There's of course responsibilities. At the end of the day, whatever I do, I'm representing mixed and black people. You know what I'm saying? This is what we're doing. So there's always a responsibility. But as I said to you earlier, it's like no one can pick and choose what I should be doing with my status or with my platform. You know, it's down to me to set the example that I feel is appropriate. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, with every artist, as you grow and you learn, you grow out of certain habits, you grow out of saying certain things, you mature. And at the end of the day, if you told me like 6-7 years ago that I'll be dressed like this, sitting here in front of you, like, I would have laughed, because there's just no way. I thought I would have been in a tracksuit in the ends forever, you know what I'm saying? But,
yeah.
but at the end of the day, it's about growing and maturing and accepting your responsibility and just doing what you see fit. And at the end of the day, some people aren't nice people and some people are nice people, and they're going to choose to do whatever it is they're going to do. So.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Well, thank you very much. I
Thanks
really
for having
appreciate
me,
this
man.
conversation.
I appreciate
We'll move now to the conversations with the floor. I wanted to leave more time for the audience's questions, because I think they've waited a while for this event as well. So yes, well, firstly, thank you very much for the whole event. So we'll take questions from the audience now. So if you could raise your hand, someone will bring a mic to you guys. Yes, I recognize that member. Yeah.
Hi AJ.
Hello.
You're genuinely one of my favourite artists. And Little More Love is also my favourite song, especially
you.
with the bar about Che Guevara. That one sticks to my heart quite a lot. And my question to you is like one of your biggest like sources of joy and pride is that you started off as an independent artist. You know, you put it in your bars all the time, and like as someone who like struggles to persevere, how were you able to overcome your challenges as an independent artist at first? Just like internally, and like just how were you able to just carry on despite, you know, I guess not having the support from the industry at first?
Cool, yeah, easy answer for that one. The first answer, my source of joy and pride, is sitting over there. It's my mum. And the second answer is it's tunnel vision at the end of the day. It's tunnel vision, you know. For me, I know what I want to do in life. I know what my purpose is. And I just focus in, I zero in, and I don't let any of the noise affect me at the end of the day. It's always just going to be noise. And if you always trust in yourself, the main thing is to always trust in yourself, because if you know what you want to do and you know where you're going, that's all that matters. Everyone else talking is just talk. And a lot of the time, when you listen to other people and you let them lead you astray, it usually goes wrong. That's the truth. With regards to support from the industry, at the beginning, I was feeling it because, you know, I didn't have the same support and push and advertising and posters and the cheat codes that these people and labels have. But after seeing like my song go triple platinum, I think I got like nine platinum records or something. I don't know, something like that. So at the end of the day, I didn't need it, you know what I'm saying? No, not even to get gas, but I didn't really need it, you know what I'm saying? But I thought I did need it at the beginning, but through perseverance and just trusting in myself, I understand that I actually don't need it, so yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Yes, I recognize that member at the back.
Hi, thank you for
Can we turn
coming.
the mic up a bit? Is that possible? Can we get his mic turned up a bit?
Yeah, the volume. They can just speak up slightly.
I'll try to speak up. You once rapped, drill on the grind beat, grind on the drill beat, brother, don't copy my pattern. How do you make sure you don't copy your own patterns? How do you keep everything fresh and make sure you're not repeating flows or things like that? Thank you.
That's actually a hard one. That's a really hard thing to do, because after you've been rapping for a certain amount of time, there's only so much you can say, you know what I'm saying? You got to go and live life experiences to find new content to speak about. But in terms of not saying the same thing over and over again, it actually genuinely gets hard. Sometimes I'll be in the studio and I'll say something, and one of the man will be like, bro, I swear you said that before. Like, it does happen still, it happens. Like, I saw an interview with Lil Wayne before, and he said like wrote a lyric that was like exactly the same lyric that he wrote before. And he put it out as well, and he didn't even know that he had said it before, because it gets to that level where you've written so many lyrics, and some of them you lot have never heard because I haven't put the song out. So I know that I've written that, or I might have forgotten that I've written that, but I've actually said it before, and yeah, it happens a lot, man. So on that I don't really know. I just try and do it, and hopefully one of the man them highlights it. If not, then it is what it is. You're getting the same bar again, innit?
No, I also, thank you for the question. I also heard that you're recording a new album. Any sort of like
Yes,
a sneak peek? Like,
I wish, bro, I wish. I wish. If you lot are lucky, when I come next time, I might play some of it for you lot, so.
Yeah. Any other questions from the audience? Yes, I recognize that member. Down here, please. Sorry, down here.
Hi, yeah, thank you for the talk. I just want to know your opinion on like the glorification kind of and like of working class and like minority culture, and it kind of becoming a trend among people, like even in the way they dress, they speak, like things like that, and just like kind of what your opinions on that, because I've seen it a lot, and just want to know what you think of that.
At the end of the day, you know, people are going to make trends out of everything, and it's always been cool. Like, at the end of the day, for me personally, I love being black, and being black is cool. You know what I'm saying? We usually set the trend on a lot of things, and people like to claim that they did it first, but usually it's a black person who did it first. It just is what it is, isn't it? But in terms of like, I find it interesting because a lot of the things that, you know, people from privileged backgrounds are glorifying is not something to be glorified, and they wouldn't know that because they haven't lived that life. But when you've seen it, you understand that it's not something to be glorified. But there's nothing I can do about that. If kids who didn't ever need to commit crime to feed their family choose to go and commit crime, if they choose to do that, they're not very smart, and that's, at the end of the day, that's a choice that they've made. And the rest of us are looking at them like, you idiot, because we definitely don't want to be in that situation, and I'm very grateful for the situation I'm in now, and I'm definitely going to be encouraging kids to not follow trends that they don't need to do, you know what I'm saying? So nothing I could do about that one. Yeah.
No, thank you very much. I recognize that member down there. Well, yes, the guy. Or, or the girl, I guess.
Hello. Rap, hip hop, drill, and other music genres that emerge from working class or minority communities are often looked down upon and taken less seriously than other musical genres. How do you navigate the industry with this in mind?
Yeah, that's actually true. It's funny because a lot of the time I see on the news people talking about drill music and rap music negatively influencing kids. But like rock music, I can't remember the exact figure, you guys have to go look it up, but they reference like a drug like every 2 or 3 bars or something. So, you know, at the end of the day, the reason why it's looked upon like that is because of the image that we have and the institutionalized racism that just comes with being in a white-owned, you know, even the heads of record labels, you know, they're all white at the end of the day. We're working on that. Hopefully I'll see myself in one of them chairs at the end of the day. But it's just something that we have to deal with, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, if you want to get in the room, if you get in the room, you can make change. You need to get your foot in the door. So if you get your foot in the door with the music stuff and you become a household name, you know, like Stormzy, Dave, myself, Hush, Skepta, whoever it is, like you can start making changes. And that's what a lot of us are trying to do. So, I mean, all we can do is try and tackle it, right? Yeah, all good.
Yeah, thank you. You may ask the question, please. You're close by as well.
Hi. Do you have like a favourite artist to work with, like on a feature or anything?
A favourite artist to work with? Let's see. Different artists for different reasons. I like working with H because he's quick and I'm quick. We're both quick. So we could just make 10 songs in a day. So I like that. Dave is not quick, but that's also why I love working with him because because he's a perfectionist, you know what I'm saying? So he'll go back and change something as many times as it needs to be changed until he's satisfied of it. So that's why I love working with Dave. When we did Thiago Silva, the original version doesn't sound anything like the version that you lot have heard. Like none of the lyrics are the same, the beat's not the same, like nothing is the same. But we kept working at it, and that's because of him. I didn't mind. I was like, yeah, it's cool, like send it out. And then he was like, no, we'll change it. So yeah, both of those two I like working with as well. Like Skepta as well was a cool one to work with. He kind of just comes in the studio and just like, he makes beats, obviously he makes the beat. So he'll just sit there with his headphones on, make the beat, and then when he's ready, he'll just say, yo, the beat's ready, like, lay that. That's it. So yeah, man.
Yeah,
all good.
Fantastic, thank you for the question. Yes, well, that member can ask the question, please.
Thank you so much. Objectification of women has been incredibly common in rap and drill. Do you think this is integral to the culture? And if so, how do you think we can change this culture?
Thanks for your question. That's a serious one. I do not think that the culture and objectification of women are one and the same. I don't think it's intertwined. I think it's a decision that young men make to rap about certain topics. Sometimes they feel like they're rapping about their lived experiences, but in general, they're actually hurting a large group of people by the comments they make. And I'm sure that a lot of them are not aware because they're young and they're naive. I'm sure I've said things in the past that are offensive to certain groups, but as you learn and grow as a human, as an artist, you learn to not say these things. In some of the environments we grow up in, sometimes it's very toxic and we don't learn these lessons as a kid and we have to learn them as an adult. And by the time you get to an adult, if you have the spotlight on you, these mistakes that you're making are amplified. So to answer your question, it's something, again, it's something that we need to tackle. I don't think a lot of the youth that are making a lot of comments that you're alluding to they're not aware of the severity of what they're saying and how hurtful it is to other people. So it's something that we need to teach for sure. But as I say, any good artist is growing and evolving. Any human, to be honest, we're all changing. And yeah, it's just something we need to look out for each other and just make sure that we're pulling people up when we can.
Thank you very much for the question. We'll be choosing the last few. So that member in the middle right there. Just this one, yeah.
Was H actually dating Amelia from Chicken Shop Date?
Could you please
a bit louder, bro? A bit louder.
Speak louder,
was
please.
H actually dating Amelia from Chicken Shop Date?
Again?
Sorry. Was H actually dating Amelia from Chicken Shop Date?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you at all. Could you speak louder?
Was H actually dating Amelia from Chicken Shop Date?
Oh, I heard you this time. Hey, look, my lawyer told me, nah, I'm joking. I actually don't know, I'm not gonna lie, I actually don't know. I swear to God I don't know, yeah, this is the truth. he texted me and he was like, bro, just to let you know, like, yeah, I'm dating Amelia now, yeah. So I was like, it was so random. So I just texted him saying like, I'm happy for you. Your kids are gonna be, I was like, your kids are gonna be mad annoying, but like, I'm happy for you, innit? And then he didn't reply, and then I just saw it all unfold online. And then when I saw him, I was like, oh yeah, so what's going on? Is that like a PR thing? And then he's like, who knows? So I just don't know myself. That's it. If I had to guess, I'd probably say no, but I don't know any of that, so.
Thank you for the question. I recognize that member just on the other side here, please.
Hi. Do you think there are certain topics that should be addressed more in rap music, but I guess the music scene more broadly as well?
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. I think it's quite hard because for young black rappers and entertainers, singers in general, everything we do is, put underneath a magnifying glass. So any mistake that we make is 10 times worse than if our white counterparts made that mistake. So it's a decision that if someone wants to talk about certain topics, you got to be prepared for the backlash. Like everything that I talk about, whenever I talk about anything political, I'm well aware of what people are going to say to me and the backlash I'm going to get online, the hateful DMs that I'm going to get. Like, I'm aware of it, and it's something that I'm okay with, but not everyone's the same. Some people don't want to get that kind of hate. Some people's mental health can't deal with that kind of hate, and for that reason, they might choose to not talk about certain topics, which I understand, but it's, it is something that we need to try and tackle. But again, like, some people can't deal with the backlash, and being black and under the spotlight in the UK is quite tough. So yeah, I think as hopefully, fingers crossed, things ease up on black people and people are a bit easier on us for when we make mistakes compared to our white counterparts. I think more black people will stand up for what they believe in general.
Yeah. No, thank you very much. I think also I asked this the other day from another artist that joined us, and it's the question of whether, whether what you do in your private life, whether it impacts. It clearly does make an impact on, your professional life and everything. And it's quite frustrating, of course, that but do you think you feel restricted, a lot of the times in saying and doing things and being who you are?
To be honest, no. I'll be honest, genuinely, no. But the only reason is because I genuinely don't care what people's opinion is on me. And a lot of people are going to say that, but they do actually care. But I genuinely don't care. When I say I don't care, what I mean is I read comments and I take things in. I like constructive criticism. I always observe what people are saying about me and try to better myself. But if someone says yeah, I don't like AJ because he supports Tottenham, I don't give a, you know what I'm saying? I don't care. It doesn't mean anything to me. If someone says oh, I'm sure I've seen him, he was drinking alcohol, that's not a good example. I don't care at the end of the day. It's not, as long as what I'm doing isn't harming people and I'm not negatively influencing people to go and do things that are going to harm people, then I'm okay with what I'm doing. I'm straight, you know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you. I will have last two more questions after this. Could we have a question from that member? He's had his hand raised. Behind the one in the black top. Next to the girl, the boy. Yeah. Thank you.
Yo, what's good? I can't really see. I'm just gonna do this. Is that right?
Yeah, go on.
Right, cool. I wanted to ask you, obviously, it's taken a lot of years, obviously, to get to where you are today. You've done music for a very long time, so on and so forth. Do you personally still feel like the music that you made back then, when you just started out, when it was just fun for you, just making music and it was great and was having a good time chilling with your boys, is that the same music that you put out now?
No, of course not, man. Of course not. For sure not. Look, at the end of the day, some of the songs that I wrote before, people were like to me, why don't you rap like that anymore? Why don't your music sound like that anymore? It can't, because music is a moment in time. Much like when you paint a picture, it's a moment in time. If you take a photograph, it's a moment in time, you know what I'm saying? The moment that I was living back then, I never had a job. I was doing whatever I was doing to achieve, financial stability, for right or for wrong. And at the end of the day, that's a moment in time I was living. I was angry. I was upset with the world. I felt hard done by, just by life in general. And it reflected in my music. I don't feel like that now. Now I'm at home playing FIFA in my boxers. It's different, isn't it? It's just the truth. I can't sound like how I sound back then because I'm not living the same life. Just see what I'm saying? But same way, I've learned a lot of things and I've matured as a man. And the topics that I can touch on now, I could never have touched on before.
Yeah. I'll still smack it at FIFA though, but it's calm.
That's what you think, bro.
Come 1v1 me then, let's go.
That's what you think, bro.
Thank you very much.
No, bless.
We'll have a question from the member there at the back, please. They're quite keen. A lot of questions.
Yeah. I like it, man. I like it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for talking to us today. I was thinking, like, what do you think about the discourse about your fund that's happening at the moment? Not necessarily like the whole like quite like just non-understanding like we're not supporting like white students or anything, but more of like we all know and we all recognise that like Oxford is an extremely like wealthy and privileged institution, and that loads of money needs to be put into outreach, really, into getting people here in the first place. And so what do you think about the discourse of some people, especially like in close circles with my friends, thinking that the funds could be put in better use in getting people here in the first place? Because I believe that once you're here, like even though like we are still not treated as equally as we would want, I still have a leg up more than I did when I was in sixth form, or like I went to a really, really bad state school, or like just any like school that's underfunded, and to fund that instead to get people here in the first place.
Mm-hmm. I think, yeah, everything you're saying, I agree with, actually. Maybe I didn't make it completely clear in the write-up yesterday, or maybe even just now, but outreach is something we're definitely going to do. A lot of artists and a lot of prominent black people in the community have hit me yesterday and said, like, how can I get involved? And I was speaking to you earlier about this. I think outreach, going into the ends and making sure that kids feel like they can actually apply to get here, and showing them the correct steps and able to achieve a place here is something that we're focusing on, because obviously I need to, for me personally, it's a goal that I would love to get black people into the, it's amazing to see you lot here already, but I'd love to see more representation from our community in the upper echelons of education. So for me, when people say, it can be better spent at, other universities, people at Oxford already got, I hear what you're saying, but also for me, it shouldn't be like a lack of ambition that, you should be giving the money to like, not the top of the top universities, because I feel like we as a people should be at the top of the top, just like everyone else. So I think outreach is something that I'm definitely going to do, and it's like a main focus of getting people here in the first place, as well as supporting people who already managed to get here. Because, getting in here is a challenge, but also staying here and managing to stay on and complete your course and get a good grade is also, like, that's a massive achievement and something that needs support.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No, thank you. And of course, as you said, I think it adds to the point that, as you said, like, this is seen as an elitist university. So of course the disparities are a lot bigger. There's a lot more of a difference. So people who come from, a lot of people who come from privileged backgrounds are in a much better position than those that come from a disadvantaged background. Yeah. Sort of like, living the everyday life, sort of, there are things that are easier for a certain. So I think, certain criticism like that could be frustrating, perhaps. Like No,
not frustrating.
Yeah.
I understand why people are asking that. It makes sense to me. It's more for me to clarify than I'm not upset with anyone asking questions like that. I think that makes perfect sense. But yeah, that's definitely something that we're trying to tackle. I'm trying to hit it from both angles. I want people to be able to come here and feel like they deserve to come here and they're able to come here, but also the people who have done really well to get into here, because it's an achievement, I want to support them in being able to finish what they started.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll have one last question from the audience. Could we have the girl with the black top? Sorry. Would you like to choose someone?
No,
Okay.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, we'll have two, it's fine. We'll have from that girl, please, first. The one next to you. Yeah.
Honestly, that's a quick question, not very serious. Do you actually support Tottenham, or is that
Who do you support?
I'm an Arsenal fan myself.
Where are you from, bro? Where are you from?
Cairo, Egypt.
You're from Egypt and you support Arsenal?
I meant in the Premier League.
Bro, I think Liverpool's calling your name, bro.
Good one.
Thank you. We'll have the
I feel like he's been waiting for ages, man. Bust him. This one here in the blue. He's been waiting for ages, I'll be honest.
Blue top.
I got you, bro.
Thanks very much, mate. So you hear a lot of people who acquire fame talk about the challenge of not knowing who you can and can't trust as new people come into your circles throughout your journey. I was just wondering, how have you navigated that throughout your career?
To be honest with you, like 99% of my friends and family circle is the same as it has been. And that is something that I've been very fortunate to have, because people haven't really let me down like that. Making new friends is always hard in my position, especially like I've been with my girl for a long time, but you know, even like love life for someone in my position is quite hard because you don't know why people want you or why people want to be around you. But I think the key thing is that you can't just start not trusting people because that's not a life to live. A life with no trust is just a rubbish life. So you just have to be careful, and at the end of the day, I just give everyone one chance, you know what I'm saying? If you burn me once, then that's the end of it. And if hopefully not, you know what I'm saying? I'm a cool guy, man. Just spend time with me, be blessed, and everything's blessed, you get it? But yeah, man.
Cheers, man. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, thank you. We'll have like the absolute last questions, whoever. Do you have any preference?
No, go ahead. My man right there? Yeah, go ahead.
I would like to ask your opinion on Emerson Royale and him spending apparently £800,000 to become a better player. So I want to know your opinions on that.
Bro, I got absolutely no opinion on that at all.
And,
Zero. I got zero opinion on that.
And why is that?
No reason. I just have no opinion on that.
Okay.
No, absolutely. But thank you very much, AJ, for like this absolutely fantastic talk. It's been very inspiring to listen to you as well. And for many of the students here, they came here today to see you because they were.
No, I just want to say thank you everyone for coming. I really appreciate it. Trust me, it means a lot to me. This is a big day for me. If you see me around the campus, like on a random day, just say, "Well, go on," to get me. Come say, "Yo."
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.